The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Federation sparkled like a jewel among the stars. Thousands of representatives from across the galaxy sat in rising tiers that reached toward the crystal dome above. Light from 3 different suns streamed through the transparent ceiling, casting rainbow patterns across the assembled beings. Today was different from the usual meetings. The Watchers had come. In the 10,000 years of the Federation's existence, the Watchers had appeared only 5 times. They were the oldest known species in the galaxy, and when they spoke, even the proudest races fell silent. 3 Watchers stood in the center of the chamber. Their tall, silver-robed forms seemed to glow from within. The eldest stepped forward, its voice deep and clear. "We come with a warning," it said. "A warning about humanity." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Many representatives smiled or shook their heads. Humans were newcomers, barely space-capable. They had only colonized their own moon and Mars, with a few small mining operations in their asteroid belt. High Commander Stone of the Dominion Empire stood up. His massive frame, covered in ceremonial armor, drew all eyes. "Respected Watchers," he said, his voice dripping with fake politeness. "Surely you jest. These humans are children. They still burn fossil fuels on their homeworld." The Watcher turned its silver eyes toward Stone. "We have watched them longer than your empire has existed, Commander. We saw them when they first picked up stones as tools. We watched them master fire. We observed as they built cities, conquered diseases, and reached for their stars." "And," Stone asked, "many species have done the same." "Not like them," the second Watcher said. "Not this fast. Do you know how long it took them to go from their first powered flight to landing on their moon?" The chamber grew quiet. 66 years, the third Watcher answered. 66 of their years from their first primitive airplane to walking on their moon. Many species take thousands of years to make such progress. The first Watcher raised its hand, and a hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed scenes from human history, ancient battles with swords and shields, wars with machines and tanks, ships crossing vast oceans, planes breaking the sound barrier, rockets piercing the sky. "They never stop," the Watcher said. "They never accept limitations. When they can't fly, they build machines that can. When they can't survive in the ocean depths, they create vessels to take them there. When they can't reach orbit, they invent rockets powerful enough to break free of their gravity." Commander Stone laughed. "And yet they are still bound to their solar system. Their ships are slow. Their weapons are primitive. They have no gravity control, no faster-than-light travel, no energy shields. That is not what makes them dangerous," the second Watcher said quietly. "Their strength lies not in their technology, but in their spirit. They learn from every failure. They grow stronger with every defeat. And above all, they unite in the face of external threats." The third Watcher stepped forward. "We have seen civilizations rise and fall. We have witnessed species with far greater technology than humanity destroy themselves. But humans are different. They turn their greatest wars into lessons. They transform their worst weapons into tools for exploration. They take what would break other species and forge it into strength. This is our warning," the first Watcher concluded. "Do not challenge humanity. Do not mistake their current technological level for weakness. If you attack them, they will adapt. If you wound them, they will learn. If you threaten their existence—" The Watcher paused, its silver eyes sweeping the chamber. "They will show you why every other predator on their world learned to fear them." As the Watchers turned to leave, Commander Stone stood again. "The Dominion Empire fears no primitive species," he declared. "If humans need to be taught their place in the galaxy, we will gladly provide that lesson." The Watchers didn't turn back, but their final words echoed through the chamber. "Then you will learn why we came to warn you. Remember this day, Commander. Remember that you were warned." The chamber erupted in discussion as the Watchers departed, their silver robes shimmering as they vanished. High Commander Stone watched them go, a smile playing on his face as he began planning humanity's first lesson in galactic politics. 3 months after the Watcher's warning, humanity received its first lesson in galactic politics. It came in the form of fire and destruction. The mining colony on Ceres, mankind's largest asteroid operation, vanished in a flash of light. 600 men and women working the ice mines disappeared in an instant. The Dominion Empire's warships hung in space, their weapons still glowing from the attack. In his command ship, High Commander Stone watched the explosion with satisfaction. "Send the message," he ordered. The message was simple: submit to Dominion rule or face extinction. Stone expected panic, chaos, and a quick surrender. After all, every other young species had done exactly that when faced with Dominion's superior technology. He was wrong. Earth's response came 12 hours later. It wasn't a message of surrender. Instead, it was a unified broadcast from the newly formed Earth Defense Council. "We do not negotiate with terrorists," the broadcast stated. "We do not bow to threats, and we do not forget our dead." Stone laughed at their defiance. His first wave of ships moved toward Mars, ready to teach humanity another lesson. But this time, something was different. The humans were waiting. Earth's small fleet of military vessels didn't try to face the Dominion ships head-on. Instead, they had hidden themselves in Mars' asteroid belt. As Stone's ships passed, the humans attacked from all directions at once, using the asteroids as cover. "Impossible," Stone shouted as the battle reports came in. 3 of his ships were already damaged. The human vessels were primitive, but they moved with surprising skill. They darted between asteroids, using the space rocks as shields against the Dominion's advanced weapons. "They're using old naval warfare tactics," Stone's tactical officer reported, confusion in his voice. "They're treating the asteroid field like an ocean, using terrain advantage just as they would at sea." Stone watched in growing anger as the humans continued their hit-and-run attacks. They never stayed in one place long enough to be targeted by the Dominion's heavy weapons. Instead, they struck quickly, then vanished back into the asteroid field. By the end of the battle, Stone had lost 5 ships. The humans had lost more, but they had achieved something no young species had ever done before. They had bloodied the Dominion's nose. Back on Earth, military leaders from every nation worked together in the Defense Council. They studied the footage from the battle, analyzing every detail of Dominion technology and tactics. "Their ships are powerful, but they're predictable," one admiral observed. "They fight like an empire that's never faced real opposition. Their weapons have a 3-second charging period," another pointed out. "We can use that." In orbit around Earth, shipyards worked at full capacity. Engineers modified existing vessels, strengthening their armor based on data from the battle. Scientists examined fragments from destroyed Dominion ships, beginning the process of understanding their technology. Stone's report to the Dominion Empire was not what he had planned. Instead of announcing humanity's submission, he had to explain their resistance. "They fight differently," he wrote. "They don't follow standard combat protocols. They adapt their primitive techniques in ways we've never seen." The Empire's response was immediate, crushed them completely. Stone assembled a larger fleet, ready to return and finish what he had started. But as he prepared for the attack, he remembered the Watcher's words. "They learn from every failure. They grow stronger with every defeat." Looking at the battle reports again, he noticed something disturbing. Each time the humans attacked, their tactics were slightly different. Each time they lost a ship, the surviving vessels changed their approach. They were learning, adapting, evolving their strategies in the middle of combat. For the first time, High Commander Stone felt a flicker of doubt, but he pushed it aside. After all, how dangerous could one young species be? He was about to find out. The Dominion Empire's full invasion force arrived like a storm of metal and energy. 500 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Jupiter, their hulls gleaming under the distant sunlight. High Commander Stone stood on his bridge, watching Earth's tiny blue dot through his view screen. "This time," he said, We will show them true power. But Earth had not been idle. The 3 weeks since the first battle had changed humanity in ways Stone couldn't imagine. Every factory on the planet had switched to war production. Scientists worked around the clock, studying the wreckage of fallen Dominion ships. The first surprise came when Stone's fleet approached Mars. His scanners detected nothing. The humans appeared to have abandoned their Mars colonies. He smiled, thinking they had retreated in fear. Then his ships started exploding. Hidden beneath the red sands of Mars, humans had buried thousands of magnetic mines. They had turned the entire planet into a trap. 20 Dominion ships were destroyed before they could react. Impossible, Stone shouted. Their technology was primitive. They couldn't have developed this so quickly. His tactical officer's voice shook as he replied, "Sir, they didn't develop new technology. They took our own mines from the destroyed ships and modified them. They're using our weapons against us." Stone's fleet pushed forward, but more surprises waited. The humans had learned from every encounter. They had studied how Dominion shields worked, finding the exact frequency needed to disrupt them. They had measured the charge-up time of Dominion weapons, timing their attacks to strike in those crucial seconds. In the asteroid belt, human ships now moved with deadly precision. They had painted their vessels with light-absorbing materials, making them nearly invisible against the dark rocks. They attacked in packs, like the wolves that once hunted on their homeworld. "They're not fighting like a space-faring race," one of Stone's captains reported. "They're fighting like ground troops. They're using cover, ambush tactics, and guerrilla warfare. But in space." Stone watched in growing horror as his mighty fleet was picked apart. The humans never engaged in direct battles where they were outgunned. Instead, they struck from the shadows, disappeared, then struck again from another direction. But the true shock came when the first human counterattack began. Their ships launched what looked like primitive nuclear missiles. Stone laughed. Nuclear weapons were useless against Dominion shields. Then the missiles split open in mid-flight. They weren't missiles at all, but carriers filled with thousands of tiny robots. The robots attached themselves to Dominion ships, cutting through hulls with stolen Dominion technology. Within hours, 30 more ships were dead in space. "They're learning too fast," Stone's second-in-command whispered. "They're taking our technology and finding ways to use it we never imagined." On Earth, the Defense Council received constant updates. They had transformed their sports stadiums into giant command centers. Engineers worked alongside soldiers, modifying captured Dominion technology to work with human systems. Every defeat taught them something new. Every lost battle showed them another weakness to exploit. Stone's mighty invasion force never reached Earth. After losing a third of his fleet, he was forced to retreat to Jupiter's orbit. His report to the Empire was met with disbelief. "How can they be defeating us?" the Empire's rulers demanded. "They are primitives." "They were primitives," Stone corrected. "Now they're becoming something else. Something that takes our strength and turns it against us. Something that learns from every defeat." As he sent the report, Stone remembered the Watchers' warning with growing dread. Their strength lies not in their technology, but in their spirit. Looking at the battle reports, he finally understood. The humans weren't fighting with just weapons and ships. They were fighting with centuries of warfare experience, with the combined knowledge of countless battles fought on land, sea, and air. They had turned their entire history of conflict into a weapon. And they were just getting started. 2 months into the war, the Earth Defense Council made a strange decision. They put their space fleet under the command of submarine captains. High Commander Stone couldn't understand the news when it reached him. Submarine captains, those primitive underwater vessel commanders, have the humans gone mad? He would soon learn the method behind this seeming madness. The next battle changed everything. Stone's fleet detected human ships near Saturn and moved to attack. But these ships moved differently. They used the gas giant's thick atmosphere like an ocean. Human vessels dove into Saturn's clouds, using the planet's storms and radiation to mask their movements, just as submarines once used ocean currents and thermal layers to hide. "They're hunting us," Stone's tactical officer realized too late, just like their submarines hunted ships on their oceans. One by one, Dominion ships were ambushed from below Saturn's clouded layer. The humans had learned to use the planet's magnetic field to shield their approach. They had turned their centuries of submarine warfare experience into a deadly space combat strategy. But that was just the beginning. Next, the humans brought in their Air Force generals. These commanders looked at space differently. They didn't see an empty void. They saw layers of space like the atmosphere they once fought in. They created three-dimensional battle plans that used gravity wells like air currents. "They're treating our faster-than-light drives like jet engines," one of Stone's engineers reported in disbelief. "They're forcing us to make tight turns that strain our engines, just like their old air battles." The biggest surprise came from Earth's ancient horse warriors. Their descendants now commanded small, fast attack ships. These vessels moved in formations developed by cavalry units thousands of years ago, striking hard and fast before disappearing into the vastness of space. Stone watched in growing despair as his fleet was outmaneuvered again and again. The humans weren't fighting with just one strategy. They were using every fighting style they had ever developed. Desert warfare tactics helped them use asteroids for cover. Arctic warfare experience taught them to deal with the cold of space. Mountain warfare training showed them how to use terrain to their advantage, even in the void between planets. "How are they doing this?" Stone demanded, pounding his command chair in frustration. "Their technology is still inferior to ours." "Sir," his second-in-command replied quietly, "I don't think technology matters anymore. They're not trying to match our technology. They're using their experience to make our technology useless." The turning point came when human ships surrounded one of Stone's largest destroyers. Instead of attacking directly, they used tractor beams in a way the Dominion had never seen before. The smaller ships moved in perfect coordination, like ancient Roman soldiers with shields, creating a net of energy that trapped the destroyer. "It's a phalanx formation," a Dominion historian realized. "They're using ancient Greek and Roman military tactics in space warfare." News of humanity's successes spread through the galaxy. Other species in the Federation began watching closely. Many had suffered under Dominion rule, and now they saw hope. If humanity could fight back with inferior technology, what else was possible? In his command ship, Stone reviewed the latest battles. Every human victory showed a different piece of their military history. They fought like Vikings in ship-to-ship combat, like Mongol horsemen in open space, like guerrilla fighters among the asteroids. The Watchers were right, Stone whispered to himself. Their strength isn't their technology. It's their entire history of warfare. Every battle their species ever fought taught them something. And now they're using it all against us. As he watched another Dominion ship fall to human tactics, Stone finally understood the true meaning of the Watcher's warning. Humanity hadn't just brought weapons to this war. They had brought every lesson learned in every war they had ever fought. The mood in the Galactic Federation had changed. Species that once looked down on humanity now watched their battles with growing interest. In secret meetings across the galaxy, representatives from younger races gathered to discuss what they were seeing. The Watchers had returned too. They stood silently in their silver robes, observing the war from distant outposts. Their presence made High Commander Stone nervous. "The humans are getting help," Stone reported to his superiors. "Someone is giving them advanced technology. It's the only explanation for their success." But he was wrong again. The truth was far more dangerous. The humans weren't getting help. They were giving it. Representatives from Earth had made contact with other species who suffered under Dominion rule. They didn't offer advanced weapons or ships. Instead, they shared something more valuable: their tactics and experience. "Look at how we fought when we were outnumbered," the humans told them. "Look at how we survived when we were outgunned. You can do the same." Small rebellions began to break out across Dominion space. The rebel ships moved like human vessels, using tactics from Earth's history. They hit supply lines like ancient raiders. They set ambushes like jungle fighters. They created defensive formations like medieval castles. They're teaching others to fight like them. Stone realized with horror. They're spreading their warfare knowledge across the galaxy. The Dominion's grip began to weaken. Planets that had been quiet for centuries now buzzed with rebellion. Ships that had once fled from Dominion patrols now stood and fought, using human strategies adapted to their own technologies. In the Federation Council, more voices spoke up against the Dominion. "We watched humans take our most advanced technology for granted," one representative said. "They don't ask how it works, they ask how they can use it in new ways." The Watchers moved closer to Earth, their silver ships appearing at the edges of battles. They watched as humans combined different fighting styles from their history. Ancient Roman tactics mixed with modern guerrilla warfare. Native American tracking techniques were adapted for space combat. African tribal battle formations were modified for asteroid field fighting. Stone's own officers began to doubt. "The humans aren't just winning battles," his tactical officer reported. "They're changing how the galaxy thinks about warfare. They're showing everyone that superior technology doesn't guarantee victory." Even the Dominion's most loyal allies started to pull away. They had seen too many mighty warships defeated by human cunning. They had watched too many perfect strategies fall apart against Earth's adaptable battle plans. "What makes them so different?" Stone demanded during a strategy meeting. "Why can't we break their spirit?" An old historian in his command staff finally answered. "Because their entire history is about facing stronger enemies and finding ways to win. They've spent thousands of years perfecting the art of defeating superior forces." The Watchers called a special meeting of the Federation Council. Their warning had changed. "Watch and learn," they said. "Humanity is teaching the galaxy that true strength lies not in the weapons you hold, but in how you use them." Stone received orders to gather the Dominion's remaining forces for one final assault on Earth. But as he prepared his fleet, he noticed something that chilled him to his core. His own crews were starting to think like humans. They were questioning traditional tactics. They were suggesting new ways to fight. "We can't let this continue," he told his commanders. "If we don't crush them now, they'll change everything." Looking at the determination in his officers' eyes, Stone realized that humanity had already changed everything. The galaxy would never be the same. And the final battle hadn't even begun. The Dominion Empire was collapsing, not from the outside, but from within. 1,000 worlds that had lived under their control for centuries were now in open rebellion, and every rebel fleet fought with human tactics. High Commander Stone watched his mighty empire crumble piece by piece. Reports flooded in from every sector. Supply lines broken, bases overrun, fleets scattered. The rebels weren't just fighting, they were winning. "Impossible," he muttered, staring at the battle maps. "We crushed rebellions for 10,000 years. What's different now?" The answer was simple. Humanity had shown the galaxy how to fight back. On a dozen worlds, rebel forces used Earth's ancient guerrilla warfare tactics. They struck from hiding, vanished, then struck again. They didn't try to hold territory. They focused on wearing down the Dominion's strength. "They're fighting like Earth's resistance movements," Stone's intelligence officer reported. "Like the French resistance in their Second World War, or the American colonists against their British rulers." Even the Dominion's most loyal servant races were changing. They had seen how humans treated their allies, not as servants, but as partners. They had watched Earth share knowledge freely, teaching others to stand up for themselves. Stone gathered his remaining loyal forces for one final assault on Earth. "We will show the galaxy what happens to those who defy us," he declared. But his words lacked their old confidence. His fleet was massive. Over 2,000 ships, the largest force the Dominion had ever assembled. They appeared near Mars, weapons ready, expecting the usual human hit-and-run tactics. Instead, they found something new. Earth's fleet waited for them in open space, but they weren't alone. Ships from 24 rebel worlds joined them, each fleet bringing their own strengths. Some were fast and agile, others heavily armored. All of them fought with human tactics adapted to their unique abilities. "Look at their formation," Stone's tactical officer said in awe. "The humans put faster ships on the flanks, like cavalry. Heavier ships form a center line, like infantry. Support vessels stay behind, like archers. They're using ancient land battle tactics in three-dimensional space. The battle that followed would be studied for centuries. Human commanders coordinated the Allied fleets like pieces on a chessboard. Fast ships darted in to disrupt Dominion formations. Heavy vessels punched through weak points. Support ships provided covering fire exactly where needed. They're not just copying human tactics anymore," Stone realized as another battle group fell apart. "They're combining them with their own styles, creating something new." The Dominion fleet's rigid command structure became its weakness. When Stone's orders couldn't reach his ships through the chaos, each captain fought alone. But the rebel ships worked together naturally, sharing information and adapting their plans on the fly. Stone watched in disbelief as his mighty armada was torn apart. Ships that had served the Dominion for centuries changed sides in the middle of battle, turning their weapons on their former masters. The rebels welcomed them instantly, incorporating them into their flexible battle plans. "We lost the moment we attacked Earth," his second-in-command said quietly. "Not because of their weapons, but because they taught the galaxy to think differently, to fight differently, to believe in something more than just raw power." As his command ship's systems failed one by one, Stone remembered the Watchers' first warning. They hadn't just been warning about humanity's strength in battle. They had been warning about humanity's ability to inspire change. His final transmission to the Dominion capital was short. "The humans didn't just defeat us. They rewrote the rules of warfare. And they taught those rules to everyone else. The galaxy would never be the same, and the age of the Dominion Empire was over." The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Federation looked very different now. Where once the Dominion's representatives had occupied the highest seats, new faces filled the tiers. Former slave races sat alongside ancient powers, and in a place of honor, Earth's delegates watched the proceedings with quiet pride. High Commander Stone stood in the center, just as the Watchers had stood 1 year ago. But now he wore simple clothes instead of his battle armor. His empire had surrendered 3 days after the final battle. And now he faced the judgment of the species he had once ruled. The Watchers appeared again, their silver robes catching the light from the crystal dome above. "You were warned," they said simply. Stone looked up at the assembled races. "Yes," he admitted, "but I didn't understand the warning. I thought you were warning us about their weapons, their technology, their fighting skills. But that wasn't it at all, was it?" "No," the eldest Watcher replied. "We were warning you about their ability to change the galaxy itself." The chamber was silent as Stone spoke again. "In all our history, the Dominion never lost a war. We had the strongest ships, the best weapons, the most advanced technology. But humanity taught everyone that those things don't matter as much as we thought." Earth's main delegate, a quiet woman with gray hair, stood up. "We never wanted this war," she said, "but once it started, we knew we had to do more than just defend ourselves. We had to show others that they could defend themselves too." The changes in the galaxy were enormous. The Dominion Empire had split into dozens of independent worlds, but instead of chaos, there was cooperation. Species that had served as slaves for generations now governed themselves, using Earth's own history as a guide. "Look at how humans build democracies," they told each other. "Look at how they balance power, how they protect rights, how they work together despite their differences." The Watchers moved to the center of the chamber. "We have watched humanity for a long time," they said. "We saw their wars, their conflicts, their struggles. But we also saw how they learned from each mistake, how they grew stronger from every defeat. We knew that when they reached the stars, they would either be the galaxy's greatest threat or its greatest teachers." Stone looked at Earth's delegates. "You could have kept your knowledge to yourself. You could have used it to become the new empire. Why didn't you?" The gray-haired delegate smiled. Because our history taught us something else too. Every empire falls. Every conqueror fails. The only victories that last are the ones that lift everyone up together. The Federation was changing. New laws were written, guaranteeing rights that the Dominion had never allowed. Trade routes opened between formerly isolated worlds. Knowledge flowed freely, no longer restricted by imperial decree. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their tactics, the Watchers declared. It was their willingness to share what they knew, to teach others, to help everyone become stronger. As the council session ended, Stone was led away to face trial for his war crimes. But before he left, he turned to Earth's delegates one last time. "You didn't just defeat us," he said. "You made sure we could never rise again. Not through force, but by showing everyone a better way to live." The eldest Watcher watched him go, then turned to the assembled council. "Remember this day," it said. "Remember when humanity taught the galaxy that true strength lies not in conquering others, but in helping them stand up for themselves." Outside the council chamber, ships from 100 worlds moved through space. They flew in formations learned from Earth, but adapted to their own needs. They carried weapons built with Dominion technology, but used with human creativity. And on 1,000 worlds, people looked up at the stars and no longer felt fear. They had learned from humanity that even the mightiest empire could fall if enough people stood together and said, "No more." The galaxy had changed forever, and it all began because one empire didn't listen when the elders warned, "Do not challenge humanity."